Hi, this is Mark Toll from Panasonic. Today I want to talk about the time-lapse feature that's built into almost, if not all, of our cameras, from the lowest point and shoots all the way up to the GH series. Today we're doing it with the G9, the fairly new G9. So basically the idea behind time-lapse is you program the camera to take a picture at a predetermined interval. In this case we did every 1 second, and then we can set in the camera to tell it how many pictures to take. In this case we took about 300. Then when it plays back at 30 frames a second, you've got about 10 seconds worth of video that looks like fast action time lapse. You'll see it in a minute here. So again, it's a little different in the way you set it up on our cameras. So we're going to show you on the back of the camera here how it's done. But remember, it's in all of our cameras. It's a great feature. You can also build this after you've shot the video. If you don't feel like building the video right at the moment you finish shooting it, you can go back into the play mode on the camera and rebuild the time lapse later on.
Okay.
To set time lapse up in the camera, on cameras that have a control knob on the top like this, we turn it to the very last setting, which looks like a clock, but it's your time lapse setting. When you go to that setting and you push the menu set button, it takes you right to time lapse animation in the menu, making this as simple as possible. Once I touch this, it's going to show me what's my start time. Do I want to start now? Or I can set it to start, let's say, in the morning at 5 o'clock while I sleep, and it'll record the sunrise at 6 o'clock for as long as I want. But the main thing I'm going to do here is set my shooting interval and image count. Okay, so my shooting interval is how many seconds or minutes it's going to take between frames. Right now it's set for a second, which is what we did the video at that you're going to see here of the street in Sacramento. It's now set up to do 10 frames. I can set it up to do up to 9,999 frames, but I'm going to leave it at 10 just for this example. Then I press set. So I check to see that my settings are here, 10 frames a second apart. When do I want to start it? Right now. I come up here and I press the shutter button, and you're going to notice over here on the left side it's counting down the number of frames. So it's shooting 1 frame every second again. Now when it gets to 0, it's going to tell you it's completed the time-lapse shot count, and in the next automatic window is going to say, do you want to create the video now? Yes. It's going to give you some choices here about how many frames per second you want, 30 or 60, whether you want it to run faster or slower. I'm just going to leave it where it is at 30 frames a second and say OK. And then it's going to say, do I want to create this? It's going to take a minute to do it. It creates the video, and I push the button to play it back. Not a lot going on in this one, but the one you're going to see right after this is one we made. We shot 300 frames, and we shot them a second apart, so it made a 10-second video of this street scene in Sacramento. Okay, if you're math challenged like I am, and you're trying to figure out how many frames to shoot for how many minutes and how long you want your time lapse to last, or just anything, how many minutes there are in an hour, there's an app for it. There's an app for everything. I use one called T-Lapse Calc on my iPhone. They're available for the Android also. When I launched the app, it asked me what's the duration of my event. We wanted to shoot for 10 minutes. We wanted to wait for a train to come down the street. It says, what's the target duration of your final video? We wanted it to be 10 seconds. I hit the button that says calculate, and it says magically shoot 300 frames. It does all of that for me. So if math is stopping you from doing this or anything else in life, get the app.